Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has been serving bettors for over 6 decades. Whether you are a lifelong subscriber, used to buy it at the newsstand, or perhaps have never seen the Gold Sheet, we want to share this amazing March Madness offer with you. Get 5 weeks of access to both the college basketball and NBA Gold Sheet newsletter for only $29. This will give you daily access to both the complete NBA and college basketball reports, which includes power ratings, strength of schedule, average line, against the spread records, and more. Get all of this for under $1 a day. It's not your dad's newsletter where games were written a week in advance, but rather up-to-date stats, scores, injuries, and all of the information to make you a March Madness expert. Head to goldsheet.com and get your March Madness on for only $29.
All right, guys, welcome in on a very happy Tuesday to you now. Welcome to the month of March, otherwise known as complete and utter madness here. But we still have a regular season we got to wrap up here over the next couple of days in college hoops. Few games here tonight. We're going to break them down for you, see if we can't find some edges with 3 of the best at WagerTalk.com in college hoops. The pen is back. Ralph Michaels up at the top there. Steve Merrill still trying to sell those season tickets to William and Mary. And Dave Culkin back in the house here, guys. A very happy Tuesday. And Ralph, it has begun. It is March. Hard to believe that, my man. But what do you got rolling into some of these smaller conference tournaments and tonight's games over at WagerTalk.com?
You know, everyone gets so excited about March Madness, but I think Steve and Dave will both probably agree with me. There's actually more value in these conference tournaments when teams are playing back-to-back-to-back nights. And then once the tournaments start, I actually think there's more value in the NIT than there is March Madness, because it's one of the only times in sports where you can get a motivated team against a non-motivated team. With that said, we all know the special at Wager Talk is 177. That's for any capper, including Steve and Dave. And let me remind all our viewers, next Monday, that price will still be 177. Selection Sunday, that price will still be 177. If you're going to get any capper, including myself, for college hoops for March Madness, it's basically like getting 2 weeks free by signing up today. WT.buzz/RM.
There you go, guys. Love it. Great advice there, Ralph and Steve Merrill. I know you are definitely locked and loaded, ready to go. Last we spoke, what's new and exciting here at WagerTalk.com for you?
Yeah, I mean, just add to what Ralph said. Basically, you're getting 2 weeks for free. If you'd like to get the rest of the regular season of college basketball for free, it's quite simple. You get the 177 special because everybody out there knows they're going to be playing March Madness. You know you're going to bet on these games. You might as well make some money while you do so. And we are 3 of the best cappers over the last 90 years combined of experience. Not the last 90 years, but we have 90 years combined. Let me rephrase that. We've all been doing this since the 80s and 90s, and we know how to win in March Madness. And last 2 years since I joined WagerTalk.com, nobody has won more money in college hoops. Number 1 ranked, over 73 units of profit in college basketball. And I've got 2 strong plays tonight on Tuesday. Look, if you want to try it out, if you want to build that bankroll and then get the special, I made a 2-for-1 special. 2 plays basically for the price of 1. 2 strong best bets, a steamroller, and an ESPN game, neither of which we're talking about on the show today. Get my 2 strong best bets, number 1 ranked college basketball, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, good stuff there. And Dave, what is going on, my man? Welcome back. I understand a couple of it's a good start to 2022 for you. Back-to-back positive months here. Congrats.
Yeah, nothing amazing. I mean, they weren't phenomenal numbers, but profitable January and a profitable February. And keep going. Got a best bet tonight, which you don't have to pay for because I'm going to talk about it here on the show. 3 free college basketball games. The free plays are almost done. I decided for the regular season I was going to, anything less than 4% was going to be on the house. Once the tournament starts, that ends. And you'll have to buy them. So that's another reason to get the package, because you're not going to get so many free plays now. Also have a hockey game up tonight. And a 7-0 winner last night with the Bruins. Those are fun. Wish they happened every night, but I'll sure take last night's result. And we move on.
Gotta love that, guys. And great card here tonight as some of these teams look to close out the regular season. Let us start with one of those teams here as the Providence Friars taking on Villanova in this one, guys. Little Big East action. Opened up at 9 for Villanova. A 9.5 for 2 popping up. The total 134.5. Not a lot of movement there. 6:30 Eastern time tip here tonight, guys. And Ralph, we watched this 2 weeks ago, didn't we? As Villanova went into Providence, 89-84 was the score there. What do you think we see this time around?
Joe, I want to start off by saying, we have a 24-3 team getting 9.5 points against a team that's 21-7. Is that warranted? Yes, and I'll tell you why. I want to first mention revenge. Revenge, again, the most overused term in college basketball handicapping. 99% of every college basketball games have revenge. Once you played a team lost, so there's a team that has revenge. I will say this. This is a spot that I normally do like playing on a team with revenge. Why is that? Because Providence has, excuse me, as I still continue to get over COVID, Providence has one home loss this year. That's to Villanova. That is a position that I normally like playing on. But why am I not playing on that lone home loss revenge? It's simple. Providence beat Creighton on Saturday. It's their first Big East title ever in Providence basketball history. It was a cut down the nets, complete celebration. When you look at Providence, they're number 1 in Ken Palm's luck category, and I'm sure Dave will talk about shot quality. They have had 11 games decided by 6 points or less or in overtime, and they have had 12 games, and they've won 11 of those. 11 out of 12 games decided by 6 points or less in overtime. 3 of their last 5 games have been in overtime, including a triple overtime game. You look at Villanova, they've played the 12th toughest schedule. They're coming off a loss against UConn. They're the number 1 free throw shooting team. They do not turn the ball over on offense. Providence, one of the worst teams turning the ball over on defense. Providence shooting only 40% on the road this year. That's a horrific number for a team that is 24-3. And let's not forget, that record is very tainted, going 14-2 in the Big East. 3 of their cancellations that did not get played are against 3 opponents that are in the top 5 in the Big East. A game at Creighton got postponed and not made up. A game at Seton Hall got postponed and not made up. And a game against UConn. I am on Villanova.
Revenge. Thirsty for revenge here, Steve Merrill. What do you think? What do you think happens in this one tonight?
Yeah, we'll talk about that luck factor once again with Providence. Dave and I have talked a lot about it in recent weeks, and as Dave rightly points out, you can be lucky, but if you continue to cover, right, what's it matter? And that's what Providence, for the most part, has done. Although they are 5-4 ATS their last 9, and actually 5-6 ATS their last 11. So I guess you can make an argument that the point spread has started to catch up to them, but the Sharps continue to play against them, and the odds makers are they're privy. They look at the same stuff. They look at these Ken Palm rankings, and that's why. You got to use all this as just a filter, right? You use all this as part of the equation, just like Ralph said with revenge. It's part of the equation. It's part of the recipe. The luck factor, I am looking for spots to fade Providence. The fact that they're coming off the big win against Creighton, this could have been a spot, but the problem for me is that the line's 9.5 points. The luck factor is all about having more straight-up wins than you should. They are not as good as their 24-3 record. We all probably agree on that, but they don't have to win this game. They just have to lose by single digits, basically. So that's going to keep me off of it. I do think Villanova wins the game. Whether they win by 10 or more is tough. Normally, if a team might be a little flat like Providence, I think that hurts the defense, but it's hard for me to make a case for the over here as Providence, a very good defensive team this year. And one of the things they do well is they stop teams from taking threes, and Villanova gets most of their points from three-point range. So it's actually a pretty good matchup for Providence for that reason. And you'll say, well, why did they lose at home by 5, one of their only 3 losses? Well, keep in mind, they were a 4.5-point home dog. We had the game on the show the day I was on the show. I remember a few weeks ago on February 15th. In fact, it was exactly 2 weeks ago, 2 Tuesdays ago. And if you dig into that box score, I mean, you really can make a case that Providence should have won that game. They were plus 14 points from 2-point range and -1 from the free throw line. So they were plus 13 from 2-point and free throw, which I think is a more consistent barometer moving forward. The reason they lost that game is because Villanova was 11 for 23, 48% from 3. And as I mentioned, that's how Villanova wins games. Providence normally isn't that weak on 3-point defense. So I'm staying off this game tonight. I think Villanova wins. I think the line's a little high. Maybe lean under if I had to play it. But the nice thing is I don't have to play it. There's better games on the board tonight.
Dave, look at the Friars' last 5. You got 2 overtime games, a triple overtime game. They cut the nets down. It's been a interesting month for Providence. What do we get from them tonight?
It's been a phenomenal season. My hometown team, I'm a Friar. The conference started in 1979, and they're actually the charter member because Dave Gavitt was the one who had the idea to put the league together. And they've never won the regular season until Saturday. I'll argue the luck factor. When you do it this much, it stops being luck, and it starts just being an ability to win close games. I thought the Xavier game was a classic example. They just don't rattle. I mean, they fall back 5 in the overtime, in the first overtime, and then they win it anyway. But this is a dead spot for them. Okay, that's an enormous win, big celebration. I think you might see some guys get less minutes tonight. I don't know if Durham will even play because he's banged up, and Ed Cooley's not stupid. This game doesn't mean a whole lot. So I wouldn't be shocked if Durham either sees little action or just sits the game out tonight. Villanova's off a loss. Okay? That, I think, is meaningful. It's not their last game. They still have a game with Butler before the tournament starts. But you look at Villanova off a loss. The last time they lost 2 in a row in conference was 2 seasons ago. Not this year, not last year. I think they'll come to play tonight. I think it could be a night off for Providence. Bear in mind, the loss to Villanova was close. Their other 2 losses, they got manhandled. They were bad games. Friars might have a bad game tonight. I like Villanova. I laid the points, and that is my best bet on the card tonight.
All right, good stuff there, guys. Should be a fun one, though. Villanova taking on Providence, 6:30 Eastern time. We'll head to the Big Ten next. Yeah, going to be an interesting one here, too, as Michigan hosting in-state rival Michigan State. 4.5 is a opening number here. That opening total also at 142 here, and I'm seeing 143.5. But that spread hanging right around that 4.5, Steve Merrill. The home team has done really well in this rivalry over the last couple of years. What do you think we're going to get tonight from these two?
Yeah, one thing about revenge is that I do feel it works better, first of all, on home courts, and second of all, with quality teams. The question is, is Michigan a quality team? They're a bubble team, so I'd say, yes, that's quality. Just 15-12 straight up, but money burning 11-16 ATS this year. Michigan State, meanwhile, 19-9 straight up, 14-14 against the spread. 2 big-name programs here. Of course, with Michigan, it's all about focus. After a fight night a couple Sundays ago against Wisconsin, I was on Wager Talk today last Wednesday, and I actually used the 2 games, Wisconsin and Michigan, as play-on-play against. I played against Wisconsin at Purdue, actually with a strong best bet for my clients, and that worked out. Minnesota covered that game. But I actually recommended Michigan on the show as well and used that as my free play, as I thought it was a good spot for them off the fight, a bad spot for Wisconsin, and it played out that way last Wednesday. And then Michigan came back down to earth this past Sunday with a loss at home against Illinois. Somewhat of an underrated Illinois team. There was a little beat up early in the season. I think it's probably a little bit better than their overall seasonal numbers indicate. Michigan State also lost to Illinois at home a week ago. I think it's a bounce back spot for Michigan tonight. That'd be my preferred side, especially with Michigan State coming off a big win against Purdue as a home dog and now having to travel on just a couple days rest. I like the setup here for Michigan. They lost the earlier game pretty bad. In fact, a few weeks ago, at the end of January, a month ago, lost by 14 on the road. We'll look at the box score there. From 2-point range, Michigan State was only plus 4 points. Michigan actually was plus 6 from the free throw line. So once again, as is the case with many of these games, 3-point disparity was the difference. In fact, Michigan was a mere 3 for 19, 16%. Michigan State was 9 for 18, 50%. That was the difference in the game. Michigan actually outscored them from 2-point and free throw line. I like Michigan here in the rematch.
What do you think here, Dave? How close are these two teams in your opinion?
Michigan's better than Michigan State. And they've got the revenge factor. And looking at the shot quality stats in the first meeting, Michigan should have won the game. Based on the shot quality of the shots taken, they win the game 58% of the time. So that was a fluke. I made the number 5.5. I don't want to lay it with Michigan. I don't want to take it with Michigan State. Next.
It's tough, Ralph, with both of these teams. Big window against Purdue, Michigan State. They needed that one. What do they bring to the table tonight?
Well, you look at what the teams have done lately. Michigan State, of course, off the upset against Purdue. Michigan off a home loss against Illinois. But let's go back a little further. Remember, this Michigan State team lost 5 of the 6 games before that Purdue upset. Their only win was at home against Indiana. So they're not in good form. You know, I look at Michigan. Remember, this team was Ken Palm's number 2 team at the start of the season, and they were ranked number 6 in Blue Ribbon's preseason rankings. You know, a publication that everyone respects. So, yes, I agree with Dave that Michigan is the better team, despite a 15-game win versus Michigan State's 19-game win. I'll lean Michigan. I don't want to lay the 4.5. I will point out this, something to keep an eye on. Michigan played last Wednesday. They played Sunday. They're playing with 2 days rest, and they're playing on Thursday. So when they face a up-tempo Iowa team, they're going to be playing their 8th game and their 4th game in 8 days. So keep an eye on that. I'll lean with the over, as both of these defenses have completely played not up to their expectations. Michigan, number 340 out of 358 teams causing turnovers on defense. Michigan State and Tom Izzo's defense, 320 out of 358 teams forcing turnovers on defense. 2 teams that do not force the ball to get turned over. 2 offenses that both rank in the top 40 in offensive efficiency. Lean Michigan, lean the over.
All right, Michigan and the over. Lean here, guys. Should be a good one in the Big Ten. We'll head out west here for the final game we'll break down. How about it? Arizona taking on USC. This game opened up with Arizona as a 4.5-point favorite. Still 4.5s pretty much across the board. The total has come down just a hair, 150.5, even a 150 or 2 showing up. So Dave, USC here. Do you like them in this spot as a home dog?
No, I don't like the spot at all for USC. I actually really like the spot for Arizona. They're off a loss. It's as simple as that. Give me the real good team. You give me an elite team off a loss. I know they're going to have no problems getting focused, and it's a big game. Arizona's looking to knock down a number 1 seed. They don't want to get a losing streak and then kind of be forced to win the conference tournament to get a number 1 seed. But, there's always a but, I don't want to lay 4.5. That's about what it comes down to for me. If it was pick'em, I'd be jumping all over Arizona because I do think they're going to win the game. But 4.5, you know, it's when a line's like 2 or 3. Okay, I'll take my chances. If I'm pretty sure a team's going to win the game, there's not that much wiggle room where you can get beat. But 4.5, now they got to win the game by 5 or more. That makes the task a little bit tougher. I think the odds makers did a good job in scaring guys like me off the spot. So again, the spot favors Arizona, but just because the spot favors them doesn't mean I have to play it. I don't think there's value in doing so, so I will leave the game alone. If I had to bet it, I'd take Arizona, but that's the good news. I don't have to bet it.
Amen to that. Ralph, Arizona got pushed around a little bit there at Colorado in that loss. You like them to bounce back here against USC?
Well, let's remember the situation. Playing at Utah on Thursday and then playing another altitude situation, Colorado Saturday, always a very difficult road trip. Remember, this was a makeup game. So they are now playing Saturday, Thursday, Tuesday, and they're playing Thursday again. So they're in one of those spots with this makeup game, having to play a third straight road game. That kept me off actually playing Arizona. You look at USC, and it certainly seems like they play to the level of their competition. They play a good team, they play well. They play a poor team, a good team like Oregon. Winning at Oregon against a raucous crowd on Saturday was a great win. Now they're in the spot off that game. But you look 2 games ago, Oregon State, they needed double overtime to win by 3. I will say this about the Trojans. They're finally back to full health. Mobley missed a couple games. He broke his nose in that Arizona game the last time they played. The point guard, Boogie Ellis, missed the last game. So, they haven't had all the pieces parts, but yet they've won the last 5. USC, a horrible free throw shooting team, that really doesn't come and play as much as a dog versus having been a favorite and maybe a team doing a hack-a-shack late to try to cut into that lead. I will lean to the under. We all know Tommy Lloyd has the Gonzaga mentality with a lot of passing, a great assist-to-pass ratio on offense, playing up-tempo as they're the number 6 tempo team. But when you look at USC's defense, they're long, they're athletic. They do give teams like Arizona trouble. When teams are moving the ball, USC's defense is actually number 290. So what does that mean? It means when teams are bringing the ball up against the Trojans, there are very few teams that take longer to score than they do against the Trojans. When teams bring the ball up to Arizona, they play that tight defense as well. Teams are number 250 tempo-wise, bringing that ball up. I lean Arizona for the spot. My stronger opinion on this game is on the under.
All right, leaning towards the under on it. Merrill, little Pac-12 here tonight. What do you think we're going to get with these 2 teams?
So late night game on ESPN at 11 p.m. Eastern, so definitely be some interest for this game. It should be a good game, and these are 2 very good teams. Obviously, Arizona is as good as anyone in the country, in my opinion, 25-3, but USC is a quiet 25-4. I don't feel they're quite as good as that record, but they're a solid team. And yes, they lost at Arizona back at the beginning of February on February 5th, but they've gone 6-0 straight up since. And don't forget, they covered that game. They were a 10.5-point road dog, lost by 9. Now they're a 4.5-point home dog. I would like USC better in this game if Arizona wasn't coming off that loss, as Dave mentioned, and it's a bad loss. It was in altitude as well. In fact, it was their second altitude game in 3 nights. They played an easy win at Utah, then had to turn around and play in Boulder. So I think that was a really bad spot. So I scratch a line through that loss against Colorado this past weekend. I don't give it too much credit, or the Buffaloes too much credit. So I do think it's a bounce back for Arizona. I think that negates the revenge factor for USC. And the other thing keeping me off USC in this game is we look at that February 5th meeting. Both teams like to score from 2-point range. They don't rely heavily on the 3. USC struggled to do so. In fact, USC had to take 30 3-point shots, which isn't their game. Arizona only took 10. And they still won the game by 9. Arizona was plus 10 from 2-point range, and they were plus 8 from the free throw line. So Arizona was plus 18 from 2-point and free throw line in the first meeting, which is how these teams need to play. And as Ralph referenced, USC, a really bad free throw shooting team. In fact, last I checked, they ranked like 334th in the nation out of 358 teams. That's also a concern in what should be a 2-basket point spread here in a tight game. I lean USC, but that was enough concern to keep me off this game.
All right, good stuff there, guys. 3 really good ones here tonight on the card, and actually a number of pretty important and motivated games here for teams tonight. Let's see if these guys maybe like one of these games. a little bit more than the rest. So, Ralph, I'll come to you first here. Start us off. Give us that game you like a little more than the rest here.
Well, I'm going to go off the board from the 3 games we talked about and give out an actual client all access play. So I did release this. I'm not getting to the 300s, but I am getting to the mid 200s. I'm going to go with the Retrievers from Maryland, Baltimore County. Now, the Retrievers have the number 2 seed in the America East. This is the final game of the season. They're playing it at home. And while they're only 3-2 in their last 5 games, they've played a brutal stretch down the road, playing the 3 other teams that are in the top 4 in the America East. The other 2 teams that were not in the top 4, they won and covered both. I think the Retrievers do get it done. I'm going to lay the 6.5 against Binghamton tonight.
All right, laying it here against Binghamton tonight. Talk to us here, Steve Merrill. Which one of these games did you circle for us tonight?
Going to get to a free national TV play for Tuesday night college hoops here in just a second. Quick reminder, the last 2 years combined since I joined WagerTalk.com, nobody has won more money in college basketball. Number 1 ranked in college hoops the past 2 years combined, over 73 units of profit. And now is the time to lock in the rest of the regular season for free when you get that March Madness special. 177 gets the rest of the college season. That's what the price is going to be when March Madness starts. You might as well get the next 2 weeks. Regular season and conference tournaments included for free. 177 gets you the rest of college basketball season from each and every capper at WagerTalk.com. If you want to try me out tonight on Tuesday, I have a 2-for-1 special in college hoops, a steamroller blowout, and an ESPN national TV best bet. A game that just missed the cut at 8:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 is the Michigan Wolverines -4.5 at home, off a loss and with revenge against their in-state rival. And that revenge is because of a misleading loss earlier a month ago on January 29th, exactly a month ago. Michigan was 3 for 19 from three-point range, 16% in that game. Michigan State, meanwhile, 9 for 18, 50%. I don't think that happens, especially with Michigan State on the road here, coming off a big home upset of Purdue this past weekend, a little bit of a flat spot on top of it. And Michigan was +4 from two-point range, and they also actually they were -4 from two-point range, but they were +6 from the free throw line. So they outscored Michigan State on the road from two-point free throw line, which is a long-term indicator that I look at for consistency. I like the spot here for the Michigan Wolverines. They're still without Juwan Howard. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're coming off the loss to Illinois. Michigan -4.5, 8:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1.
All right, good stuff there, guys. Make sure you visit Dave, Steve, and Ralph over at WagerTalk.com for these plays. And Dave, you said it. You said you got one tonight for us, and which one is it here?
Well, it's Villanova. And if you want the reasons why, go back to earlier in the show, and I explained it. No point in doing it again. I hate being repetitive. So that's it, Villanova. And if you want to sign up for something, now's the time to do it. Get a nice discount. I've won the first 2 months. Nothing huge, but profits are profits, and we'll look to keep it going in March.
Yep, NHL plays also up there, guys. And our friends, don't forget, over at the Gold Sheet. They've got a play tonight they're looking at as well, and they're going to be focusing on Florida Gulf Coast over North Alabama tonight. Great write-up here, guys. You heard Ralph talk about it here. Some of these lesser conferences this time of year where the biggest edges are. Would certainly encourage you to check it out here, goldsheet.com, as well as we'll post these like we do after each show on our Twitter page at Wager Talk. Check it out, guys. More game write-ups over at thegoldsheet.com. Great handicapping tools available for you there. All right, tonight I am going to go. I'm going to take a look here at Youngstown State laying 7.5 against Robert Morris. I know this for a fact. Youngstown's going to throw up threes, and I think it's going to be a lot of threes, and I think a lot of them are going to go in. I also think they're going to get a ton of free throws, and this is a double-digit victory for our friends at Youngstown State. So I will lay the 7.5 against Robert Morris. One more time, guys, a little best bet recap. How about Ralph going UMBC, laying the 6.5 tonight against Binghamton? Merrill says, give me Michigan. Lay the 4.5 over Michigan State. Michigan at home. And Dave says Villanova's the side for him, laying the 9.5 against the Friars of Providence. I'm going to back Youngstown State to get it done, 7.5. And our friends from the Gold Sheet, Florida Gulf Coast, lay the 11 against North Alabama, guys. Not too late for you to hop on board as we get ready for March Madness, guys. Right now, if you visit Ralph, Steve, and Dave, guys, these March Madness packages, unbelievable opportunities right now. One of the richest, if not the most profitable months in all of sports right now here with college hoops. And you've got three of the absolute most profitable in college basketball with Dave Koken, with Steve Merrill, and with Ralph Michaels at your disposal, guys. Partner up, get it in there. Let's start cashing some of these tickets. And if you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, you'll get notified. We're going live all week long here talking college hoops. And until then, on behalf of Ralph, Dave, and Steve, best of luck with your plays tonight, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Between now and Selection Sunday on March 13th, there are still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special, which includes the rest of college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. Sign up for this promotion now at your favorite handicappers homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship on Monday, April 4th for just $177. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experience in sports. Act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time.